Welcome to our Women Today table discussion.
I always get excited when I come and sit at this table because we bring women that will come to empower you, educate you, encourage you. So I always get excited because today I am joined by none other Alison from the Samaritans. Welcome, Alison.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me at this table talk with Women Today. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Are you?
I'm good. Well, I'm excited that you're here. Women Today, it's all about empowering women, educating them, signing posts to them to different organizations within the UK, especially in the Northeast. So it's like we tell our ladies wants to know different organizations, where can we find them, what services do they provide, what support do they get. So it's really a pleasure to having you at this table talk with myself. I know exactly who you are. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Alison. I'm the director of Teeside Samaritans. Samaritans is a national organisation. So there's over 200 branches nationally.
Okay.
And we run the Teeside branch, which is on Borough Road, so very close to here. And I'm the director. I've been the director for just over a year now.
Okay.
I'm a volunteer in that role, so I do work full-time elsewhere.
Wow.
And all of this work is voluntary. I started as a Samaritan listener
Okay.
and a volunteer, which I still do. I still actively take calls and I still work as a Samaritan, but I also now lead the branch, and as an independent branch we're involved in recruiting volunteers,
Okay.
budgeting, looking after our building, all of the governance that goes with it. So it's quite a big role, particularly in a voluntary capacity.
It is.
But I absolutely love it, and I gain a lot of skills actually from being in the role, which helps in my employment, but I think it also helps in me as a person. And I'm really proud to be director of Teeside Samaritans.
Wow.
I think I'm possibly one of the youngest directors in the country. Stereotypically, a lot of people think of, or historically used to think of, Samaritans as being sort of female, middle class, retired, plenty of time on their hands.
Yeah,
but actually the dynamic of a Samaritan now is changing so much. We have a lot of males that are Samaritans. We have a lot of people from different ethnic backgrounds. We've got people who work full time. We've got people who don't work, and there's a real collective and a real mix of people, which is brilliant, which brings us all together. So yeah, it's a challenging role at times, but it's definitely one of the most rewarding thing that I think I do or have done.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you say something quite profound there, and I like the fact that, to be honest, I didn't realize that actually on top of you working as a full-time, this is actually voluntary work, which is, and I know quite a lot of people that do voluntary work, and I think they don't get really rewarded very well. And can I just start to say well done for that, and thank you for doing such an amazing thing. I think taking time to volunteer to help other people means quite a lot, especially to me, and I know to other people as well, especially considering what's happening around the world. And so yeah, well done for doing that. That's something
you.
quite beautiful. And so for someone who's listening and they want to know, I know the first time I had the word Samaritan was when I was reading the Bible, because I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And so for someone who's listening and like, okay, why the word the Samaritans? And I want you to explain a bit more, go into it further. What exactly does the organization do?
Yeah, so a lot of people think about the religious link, and actually there isn't a religious link from the Samaritans. The person who established the Samaritans was religious, but it hasn't come from a religious background.
Okay.
But the organisation itself, like I said, it's a national charity, a very big national charity, and actually a very well-established, very well-run charity, which we see as a local branch because we get the support from sort of central office. The Samaritan themselves, we have a vision to try and reduce the number of suicides that we have in the country, and unfortunately in the northeast, suicide levels are higher, which is something that we want to try and tackle. And I think, and I had this myth when I first started being a Samaritan, and I naively didn't really know much about what Samaritans did.
Yeah.
I felt like I wanted to give back and do something, and I knew a lot of people that were suffering with their mental health, and in the workspace I was seeing a lot of challenges, and I was really thinking about how can I help these people or feel more comfortable in these situations of people who are maybe suffering quite badly with their mental health. So I thought, well, I'll do a bit of upskilling and a bit of training, and that's really how I became about being a Samaritan. But we are about reducing suicide, but you don't have to be suicidal to call us. And a lot of people think that, you know, they can only call us if they're maybe like actively suicidal, and that's absolutely not true. Yes, we get suicidal callers, but we get a lot of people that call or contact us or want to talk to us because they're going through a difficult time, and they need somebody to talk to, and they need somebody to talk to who isn't maybe someone that they know well. I still find it amazing how you can pick up that phone and say hello Samaritans, and people tell you stuff that they tell or they've told nobody else, and it's quite like, wow, they've chosen to share that with me, and the power of that human contact. I think you really see it when you're in those situations. So we hope that by having someone to talk to, to talk through how they're feeling, to talk through how they might overcome whatever challenges they're facing, we might signpost to different organisations that might be able to help. We hope that then that helps reduce maybe suicide, but also helps reduce the mental health sort of issues that we have in society, unfortunately.
So I'm hearing that the Samaritans, basically, it's a safe space. For somebody who's listening and watching, it is actually a safe space for them to call you guys and just talk. And you're basically just there to listen, whichever it is that they're going through. Because, like, I know what you mentioned there. I mean, the suicide is the last thing. You know, and I know somebody who's about to commit suicide. I think this last thing that they will be thinking about, let me call somebody for help. So it's important that people also understand that, you know, you don't have to wait until you get to that stage. You can actually call us, whether you're going through a depression, domestic abuse, whatever it is that they're going through. They can actually reach out to you, and you guys are there to listen to them, and you can also signpost them. Is there a charge for that, or this is free?
No, it's all free, and we are 24 hours a day, so you can call us or email, and we do have online chat as well, anytime, which is quite unusual for organisations, and I think we hit that gap in people's lives, particularly in those really unsociable hours, early hours of the morning, very late at night. People might have professional services, they might have mental health crisis support, they might have other organisations they can go to normally, but at 3 a.m, there's often nobody else there, and that's where we're there to offer, like you said, that safe space to talk. We're not going to judge people, we don't tell people what to do, which that's a key value of being a Samaritan, and it's something that some of our callers, I think, it's quite unusual, because often in life, if we were having a conversation and I said I was struggling with something, naturally we want to help and say, oh, what you should do is, you know, I've done this, so this would really help you, which can be really helpful, but also it doesn't empower the person to make their own decisions about what they think is the best way forward. So we don't give direct advice. Like I said, we can signpost to organisations if they need additional support. And I think they're like I said, human contact. We don't give direct advice, we don't judge people, and we let people make their own decisions. And there's no time limit on the calls. There's no, you know, you can call as many times as you like, whereas some other organisations, or in like, especially in sort of the professional services, there's often, you know, time limits. You go to an appointment and you have this set time period, and we haven't got that. So that time and space, I think, really helps people to just take the time to open up about whatever's on their mind without feeling as though they've got to get in and get out.
So people actually can call you,
Yeah.
or they can actually come in person.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I know there are over 200 branches around the United Kingdom. And so talk to me about the Middlesbrough branch. What exactly do you guys do within the Middlesbrough branch? The reason why I say that, you know, Women Today, we're best in Middlesbrough, in the Northeast, and again, empowering and supporting and help Black African women and other women as well. So for a lady who's listening, they are local, they are in Middlesbrough. Talk to me about the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. Oh, I know you're doing work with the community as well. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we're based on, like I said, we're based on Borough Road. We've had the branch there for 55 years, so it's a well-established branch. It's recently been refurbed, so we like, if anybody is passing and they want to come in, we like to show off our new front room. And we do offer face-to-face, so if somebody is in the Middlesbrough area and they're feeling as though they want someone to talk to, it could be anything. It could be just something's bothering them. They've had an issue at home, they've had challenges at work, they're feeling lonely, they're feeling low. They can come into our branch during the daytime, and if we have volunteers on duty, they can come and offer that emotional support and give you a space for somewhere to talk. So that's what we would do in terms of if somebody is feeling as though they need support.
Okay.
We also, obviously, we're a voluntary organisation, so if anybody wants to come and volunteer, you know, there's quite a lot in terms of our mental health, and volunteering and giving back is actually really, really empowering for you as an individual. So if anybody's interested in volunteering, they're more than happy to come. They can have a conversation with me, I can pass on my details, they can come and have a look at the branch. And what we're looking at doing, or what we are doing, over the next few years while I'm director, is we're really trying to embed ourselves within the local community a lot more. And we're wanting to reach those target groups and those populations, people, you know, working with people like yourselves to try and understand the demographic of the, particularly that TS1 postcode area. And how can we support the local community, but how can we also support other organisations, other voluntary organisations, other groups that might need some additional support? Because what we really pride ourselves on as a Samaritan is the support network that we offer our volunteers. So as a volunteer, you are exposed to quite, you know, difficult situations at times, but we have a very, very clear and very effective support network system that we have to follow. And I often think to myself, if only we had this level of support in the workplace, that's true. Things might be a bit different. But obviously, you know, there's challenges out there. So what we also do is we work with other organisations, and we talk quite a lot about how we support our volunteers and how that helps us keep volunteers, how that helps the, you know, volunteers deal with what they're having to hear. So yeah, it's sort of twofold really. Here for the local community, but also here for other organisations as well, and trying to link. And
you're saying some very, very good points. And you know, as a Christian, there's a verse in the Bible that says, one can chase 1,000, but two can chase 10,000 unto flight. It's basically talking about the power of unity, or the power of working together, or the power of having two people working together. And I think different organization working together, I think we can achieve a lot. There's some things that you can achieve on your own, but then when we come together, we can sort of like achieve a lot, which is exactly what we are doing now, bringing to a different organization to say, let's work together to try and help our community. And I know you mentioned a bit about volunteers, which we're going to touch a little bit about that. So are your services open 24/7? For example, somebody is going through something in the middle of the night, they're struggling. So do you have people that are there for them 24/7? Is it open 24/7?
Yeah, so nationally, the service is open.
Okay.
At Teeside, we're actually quite a small branch. There's sort of 30 to 40 volunteers
Okay.
in our branch. So we're not open 24 hours a day.
Okay.
We do have shifts that run overnight, but we're not open. We just haven't got the capacity of volunteers to be open all the time.
Okay.
But we are open every day apart from Monday,
Okay.
and we have shifts at various times.
Okay.
As a volunteer at our branch, you would do like a 4-hour shift. But we cover, like you said, overnight. We cover daytimes, but we have nothing happening
Yes.
in branch on a Monday. But it's an interesting point you raised about, like you said, bringing people together, and like you said, the more people working towards the same vision, the
Yeah.
better. And that's sort of
Yes.
where we're trying. And like I said, linking with organisations like yourself is perfect to help us understand as well.
Yeah,
It gives us an
yeah.
understanding of what's the community's needs,
Yeah.
and how can we help support the
Yeah.
community, but even better.
Yeah, especially now because you understand that if people are going through quite a lot, like people are losing jobs and, companies are being closed down, relationships are being affected, the children are being affected. I mean, basically when people lose jobs and, finances, it can be difficult in the home, entirely to affect the whole family. So I think people are really going through quite a lot, and I think it's amazing that we have organizations like Samaritan that can actually help people and talk to people, because sometimes what somebody else needs is just somebody to talk to at the other side of the phone. So if you're listening and you really want to volunteer, get in touch with us and get in touch with the Samaritans, because they need quite a lot of people to do the voluntary work, which is actually something good. Giving back your time to help other people, I think, is something that's quite amazing. Talk to me about, is it shush?
Yeah, so the shush, this came about from the sort of central charity.
Okay.
And we do a lot of work with the National Rail.
Okay.
So we do a campaign called Small Talk Saves Lives, which is actually happening next month. So there's a big campaign there around National Rail. We did some campaigning when it was Blue Monday.
Okay.
Blue Monday, we changed it to Brew Monday, which is the 3rd January.
I didn't know there was something called Blue Monday.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's a bit of a... There's no evidence to say this is the case, but it's a bit of a... Unfortunately, it came about from a marketing tool of people trying to sell holidays and things like that.
Okay.
But we do see higher suicide rates in January, and the 3rd January of every month, it was targeted as like Blue Monday, the most depressing day of the year. So we reframed it to Brew Monday, where we offered tea bags and we encouraged people to have a cup of tea and talk. And this is a bit of a spin-off from that. So this is tips that we give anybody to be a better listener. So when you're trained to be a Samaritan, the training is quite intense. And some of the key principles that we talk about is how to be an active listener.
Okay.
And this is some of the tips. So this is if you had somebody, maybe somebody that you know or somebody that you just see or connect with out and about.
Okay.
These are some tips on how you might start a conversation with someone, how you might see if somebody wants to open up. So show you care. So focus on the person, give them some eye contact, put devices away. So if somebody comes to you and starts, I'm not feeling particularly great, and then you're on your phone.
And you're on your phone, you're not.
So you're not focused on that person. Have patience. So it may take time or several attempts before a person is ready to open up. So if you have somebody who you think is struggling, you might ask, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you then might follow up, are you really okay? And just giving that somebody a second chance to open.
Yeah.
It might be that you have to ask several times. Also, it's a link to this, but a tool that we use as a Samaritan listener is having silence. So saying nothing can actually encourage somebody else to talk some more.
Right.
And actually, as people, we like to fill the space of silence.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a skill that we train as a Samaritan, and it's amazing how someone can be talking and you say nothing, and then they talk some more, and you think, I've not actually done anything.
Yeah,
You've just given them a chance to
to
talk.
speak.
You
It's interesting you're saying that part, because if I'm talking to somebody, they don't say anything, sometimes I might feel like, are you ignoring me?
Yeah.
But I like that. I've never heard this in that way,
Yeah.
so that's good.
So what we would do for that, so in training, we would use things like, we call it short, encouraging words, and
Okay.
females tend to be quite good at this. And
Yeah.
if we listen to this back, we'll have been doing this a lot.
Yeah,
Sort of,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
I'm looking at you. I'm
Yeah.
giving you cues, and I'm listening.
Yeah.
As opposed to, so that's a good cue that you might have. Use open questions. Sort of try and ask questions that are not sort of yes no answers. So follow up. Can you tell me more? How are you feeling?
Okay.
I'm okay. Ask another question. Ask questions that, tell me more about what happened,
Okay.
as opposed to things like, let me think of an example. Are you feeling down?
Okay.
Yes or no?
No. Okay.
As opposed to, tell me how you're feeling.
Okay.
Say it back. So check they've understood. Don't interrupt or offer a solution. So that's sort of reflecting back that you've understood what somebody was saying.
Okay.
Actually, what you've been doing as we've been talking,
Yeah.
or I've talked, and you've summarised what I've said.
Yeah.
Perfect example of you reflecting, summarising, saying back. It shows that you're actively listening to what I was saying.
Yeah.
And then have courage. So don't be put off if you maybe get some negative responses. And that key point there, don't feel the need to fill any silences. Be comfortable with silence.
Wow.
And sometimes that can be what somebody needs to open up and talk some more.
I like that. So this is kind of like basically what you use within the organization when somebody calls you or somebody comes in and approach your organization. So these are kind of like the tips you use as well.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
really
Yeah,
good.
and like you said, lots around, how are people feeling? We're not so interested in the facts around situations. It's more about how do they feel. And I sometimes reflect on this in my life, and I think, how many people actually ask me?
Yes.
People, we tend to use this, hi, how are you? In a greeting.
Exactly, like passing comment.
Don't really, sounds awful, but don't really mean it. And we normally go, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
And if somebody said, no, I feel awful, you'd be like, oh, I didn't even realise I'd asked how you'd felt.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I often think, I don't know how many people really say to me, how are you feeling today?
How are you feeling today?
And how are you really feeling today?
Yes, and then they can actually pause and really take time to hear what you're saying, if you're having a good or bad day. I like the first one really that says show your care. It's quite important that it's easy for me to talk to somebody who's showing me that they do care, which is really, really good, especially now, like what I mentioned before. People are going through a lot, people are really struggling, and I think having that space and having that person that's showing you care, that you can actually talk to, they don't have to do anything, but you can just talk to them. I think it means a lot, and I think your organization is doing something really amazing. I think it's really needed at the time, especially now. People really need it. I've had the privilege of talking to women from our community who have been going through, whether it's struggle with children, struggle with relationships, domestic abuse, or most of our women, they all have migrated from Africa or part of the other side of the world to come into this country. Most of them, they don't have families to talk to. Some of them are really lonely. And I think this organization will actually be more beneficial to our women as well, because as long as they can know that I've got somebody that I can just come and talk to, who can just listen to me, because it can be really lonely, even to people with families as well. It can be really lonely. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Honestly, I think it's amazing, and we're excited to be working together with you to be able to achieve. And I think the achievement looks like helping people, provide that safe space for them. So before we conclude, do you have anything that you want to say to somebody who's listening about your organization, something that we did not touch on?
I think we've covered everything, but the key thing I think to get across is, if you feel as though you need somebody to talk to, and it could be about anything, don't call the number 116123. If you don't feel like you want to talk, you can email. You can use the online chat.
Okay.
There's always somebody out there. You know, you're not alone. It isn't going to solve every solution. But there's always somebody there, because it, like you said, it can feel, for everybody, it can feel quite a lonely place. But there's always somebody who, like you said, we want people to feel better. We care about them. And it's 24 hours.
It's 24 hours as well. So do you have a website? Are you on Instagram, on Facebook?
We're on Twitter, or X, as it's called.
Never heard of X. They keep coming, don't they?
Twitter's now called X, isn't it?
Oh wow.
Yeah, so, and we haven't got a Facebook group. Teeside, but there's a national Facebook group, so you can find the Samaritans on Facebook. You can find them on their website, samaritans.co.uk.
Yes. And do you know your telephone number by head? If not, that's okay.
The
telephone number,
the number you'd call for emotional support. It's 116123.
Okay,
good test.
That's good. You did very well. You did very well. But that was amazing. Thank you so much for joining me at this table talk. And I know that you will be getting a lot of phone calls after this table talk with myself, because I know there are people that they can't wait, or they want to reach somebody, or just talk to somebody about what they're going through. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to have you at this table talk, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me at this table talk with Alison from Samaritans. You know, we spoke about quite a few things here. If you're going through something, you don't have to wait until you have to feel like I need to commit suicide. If you're going through anything at all, whether struggles at home, you don't know what to do with your children, your relationship, or you're depressed, you're feeling all sorts of things, the Samaritan is the place to go. They're there 24/7 to help you. You don't have to go through things alone, and so get in touch with them. Just seek for help. There are people out there that can actually help you, whatever it is that you're going through. There are organizations in the Northeast, here in Middlesbrough, that can actually help you and support you. So thank you so much for joining us at this table talk. From myself, Locardia, thank you and goodbye.